Hi, I am Janet Campbell, and I'm from Central Washington University, Pierce County, and I'm going to introduce David. David, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. My name is David Mulkey. I'm from CWU-JBLM, and that stands for Joint Base Lewis McChord.
And we're going to tell you about the programs that we have to offer. The programs at our Pierce County location, we have a handful of programs. We are a transfer school, so we don't offer the first 2 years of the general education requirements. If our students have general education classes they still need to take, they take those online, or they take them at the community college and transfer them into us. But these are the programs that we have to offer. We have business administration, supply chain management, business administration, leadership and management. We offer a BAS in supply chain management, a BA in elementary education, a BS in IDS, a BA in law and justice, a BAS and a BS in the information technology and administrative management, a BS in psychology, a BA in BS in social services, BA in psychology and sociology.
And I'll go ahead and read this slide. So these are the programs that we offer at JBLM. So right off the bat, you can see they're all focused in supply chain management. So the first one is a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a supply chain management specialization. Next, we have a Bachelor of Applied Science in supply chain management. Then we have a certificate in supply chain management for those folks who are looking to get experience in this area, but don't want to go towards an entire degree. And then finally, we offer a Lean Six Sigma certificate. Very exciting program, very interesting, closely related to supply chain, I would say. And we actually had the pleasure of offering that course over the summer.
So I'll let you guys know about our tuition and application requirements. The application fee is $60. We do prefer students to come in with a direct transfer degree, a DTA. However, if they do have an AA, we are willing to work with them either to get the right credits so they can transfer into a BA program, or we have our BAS programs. The preferable GPA is a 2.5 GPA. And if you guys ever have questions about applying, don't hesitate to contact us. For scholarships, there is the general scholarship application, which opens on November 1st this year, and I believe it closes February 1st. That is for next year's scholarships, and I encourage all students to apply for these scholarships. I spent a few years working in the financial aid office, and I was on some of the scholarship committees, and we chose the winners. And there was honestly scholarships we could not award because students didn't, give us the proper essay or didn't write an essay. And so money just sat there, not going to any student. Also, there's merit tuition awards for students that transfer in with a 3.25 GPA. There's a couple other requirements like when they applied and when they filed their FAFSA. But if they do qualify for that, that's $1,000 a year that comes off your tuition, which makes tuition about $7,000 a year, which is pretty affordable. If anybody has any questions on our elementary education program, that's Amy Meyer's contact information. And right now we have 2 cohorts that just started in this fall. Our cohorts start in the fall. We offer the minors in elementary. For elementary education, we offer the minors in early childhood, literacy, special ed, and teaching English as a second language. We also offer an ITAM degree, and even when I first started at this center, I had worked on the main campus, and I wasn't 100% familiar with the ITAM program. I thought it was just an IT degree, but actually it's information technology and administrative management. So it's not your basic computer science degree. It actually teaches our students some managerial skills and soft skills to get them a job. And here's the different things they can specialize in. administrative management, cybersecurity, network management, project management, and retail management, and a couple others there. And I have to say, if you do come to our center and take this degree program, Luke Williams is one of our faculty, and he is just amazing. He hasn't taught his entire career. You know, he came from the private sector and running businesses, and he is very passionate about this program. And when he speaks to the students and the prospective students, you know, I look in his office and his arms are flaying around because he's passionate and he's very excited about this program. So if you have any questions about this program, hit me up and I will get you his contact information. Also, we have business administration and interdisciplinary studies. This is a tap sheet or an advising sheet, which we use. This way you can see what classes that you need to take at the community college, and we'll have those for you. And then you know what to take when you come to us. And we try to figure out what pathway you are at your community college so we can get you in the right pathway when you come to us. A lot of students think that they're on the right pathway to go to a 4-year program at any community college, but they might be in a tech program. So it's very important once you kind of decide that you want to go to a 4-year school to maybe make that list of schools that are your possibilities and contact them and make sure that you're taking the right classes at your community college to transfer in effortless and successfully. Does anybody have any questions for us? Is anybody here who actually would be a potential transfer student?
Hi, Janet. This is Liz. I am not a potential transfer student. I'm on the ITAM faculty along with Luke. And I was typing into the chat and then I just thought I'll just say it. You're absolutely right. He is an amazing teacher, mentor, advisor. I'm here kind of eavesdropping on your session because I really want to learn a lot more about what's happening in Pierce and JBLM. I'm in Ellensburg. So thank you so much for this, but definitely I think anybody who's on this call right now who's even thinking about transferring, I'm going to push ITAM because it's my department, but you can't go wrong with any of the programs that were listed that Janet and David have talked about. A real strength of CWU, and speaking from a faculty perspective, a huge strength are people like Janet and Shannon and David who sit down and work with you from day one to make sure you have the most effective path to your goal.
Yeah, and we have a lot of faculty who are passionate about the program they teach. So no matter what program you're interested in, I will find you, somebody to talk to who is passionate about that program and who knows the ins and outs of it and can tell you what you can do with your degree after you get out of school and, help you with that step as well.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just add in a couple of notes about the College of Business. Carlos Smith is one of the faculty that I speak with pretty regularly, and he's always quick to point out that the College of Business has the AACSB accreditation, which is a top accreditation shared by the top 5% of business schools worldwide. So that's a really big selling point in all of our marketing that we do on base. We try to have that front and center, which actually means in the bottom corner, but we like to display it and reference it often. And I would just say this about our military students. I think every single one of them that I've spoken with has been a transfer student. Just the nature of the military and moving constantly you know, the soldiers and airmen that are really dedicated and focused on education, they try to pick up education wherever they're stationed at. And that shows. And when they come and apply to us, they usually have transcripts from, you know, a couple institutions. And of course, they're always out of state. So it makes transferring it in very interesting. But yeah, it's really a big part of military education is being a transfer student. So I think this is a really great event and a really great way of saying thanks. And we celebrate transfer students, and anything we can do to make it more known, and make it known that you're not unusual, that it's not an unusual pathway, that it's actually very common. And it's not something that a lot of students realize, I think, in a lot of cases. So here's to you.
Can I ask, what is it JBLM? What does that stand for?
Oh, great question. JBLM stands for Joint Base Lewis McChord. And so that change happened about 10 years ago. It used to be formerly referred to as McChord Air Force Base and Fort Lewis. And they're separated by, I think, 2 exits on I-5. So we're, you know, neighboring military installations. So to save money, they decided to group them together. And Joint Base Lewis McChord was formed. And it's kind of interesting, the Yakima Training Center over in Yakima is also connected to JBLM in some way. So some maps you'll see Yakima Training Center is included on. So JBLM is really expansive. There's a lot of land. If you ever fly over Olympia and look out to the east towards Mount Rainier, and you see, you know, the big forest, a lot of that is JBLM land. When you drive by it on I-5, it's just, you know, a couple exits. But when you go out towards Mount Rainier and towards the east, it really expands. It's a big piece of land. Great question.
So if I'm driving down I-5, because I feel like I've driven past that, what do I notice by the exits or coming up? Is that, will I see the different?
Well, good question. Probably the first thing you'll see is helicopters. But otherwise, let's see. So when you reach DuPont, you'll see there's a big state farm building. And that'll be kind of on the, depending on which way you're going. So that'll be towards the west. To the east of that, on the other side of the freeway, is JBLM. That's kind of the south end of it. Thinking up towards Lakewood area, there's a golf course, although you can't see it from I-5. If you pay attention to the signs, you'll see signs for like Madigan. That's a hospital on JBLM. And otherwise, yeah, the signage, it's interesting. This is the biggest tell. They're doing a lot of construction along that corridor right now. They're working on adding lanes and new overpasses. So that'll probably be the best tell that you're at JBLM, is you're either stuck in traffic or you're looking at brand new freeway construction and more lanes.
And then JBLM, those classes are, well, I know everything's online, but
yeah, so
pre-COVID, post-COVID, are they in person?
Yes. So at the Stone Education Center, we offer evening courses, and they're all currently supporting the supply chain management program. Over the summer, we were able to run a Lean Six Sigma course in person, and it was a unit training and course, and it was very interesting. A lot of coronavirus protocols that they had to follow, and offering courses on base is interesting because although it's located in the state of Washington, sometimes they go by federal rules and sometimes they go by state rules. For the most part, they try to align them to be consistent. So whatever the governor states, JBLM tries to be as close to it as possible. But in some things, I think Washington State was requiring masks, and JBLM was a little bit behind that, and had a little bit different requirements. So kind of interesting during this time, especially. But yes, we do offer courses in the classroom on JBLM.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Thanks.
And the other center we're talking about is Pierce. Is that correct?
Yes, the center at Pierce County, which is located inside of Pierce College, Fort Steilacoom.
Are there pictures of the Pierce Center? Is that something I can just Google?
Let me see if I can't find something. There's a couple. We don't actually have our own building there, so it is a little bit different. Let me see.
So same question, pre and post COVID, are classes in person at the Pierce Center or online?
No, everything for us is online right now.
Gotcha.
So if you go to the CWU-Pierce County Facebook page, there's a picture of the Olympic building, which is the building that a majority of our classes are located in. In Linwood and in Highline, or the Des Moines campus, CWU actually has their own building. We don't have that luxury at Pierce College. We have 3 DE classrooms that are our classrooms, and then everything else we kind of borrow from Pierce College.
Gotcha. And Pierce College, is that a community college over there?
Yes, they have a campus at Fort Steilacoom, which is it's not too far from JBLM, just south of Tacoma, and then they have a campus out in Puyallup. And we don't have any classes in Puyallup. However, when in-seat classes are going on, I usually go out there once or twice a month and table.
Gotcha.
So that's like the hard thing for us right now for our recruiting aspect, because so much of our recruiting is done at the community college just by, being visible, by walking around and talking to people and going into classrooms and doing tabling events, or even just walking through the cafeteria with your CWU stuff on. So it is definitely, it is challenging, and we are, trying to come up with ideas to successfully, get students interested in our programs, because especially the new students who are new students to Pierce, they have a couple years of walking by our office and just having that knowledge that we're there in the back of their head, and the new students now don't have as much of a clue as the ones who've been on the campus. So
gotcha. And so for students that are at JBLM and at Pierce, do they mostly just order their books online from the Wildcat shop?
Yep. Okay. I have a few students who literally, when I'm in the office, I work 4/10s, and so I usually am at the office really like about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I have students that work that work graveyard, and so they always would come in and they would be there, and I would help them order their books, because we have a lot of non-traditional students at our campus, a lot more than like Highline or Linwood has, mostly because of the military base, I think, because you have people who are out of the military who maybe have done a couple years at the community college, and now they're want to continue on their degree path, or we have just moms and who had kids and stopped working on their degree. So a majority of our students are the non-traditional students.
And when you're saying majority, is there kind of a percentage? Is it like 50% or?
I would say it's over 50%. I think the program that is the more traditional program is our elementary education program. But even there, we have a lot of students who have degrees already, or, were doing something else with their life and decided that they wanted to be a teacher. So I would say over half of our students are non-traditional students. I don't have the demographics on that right off the top of my head, but I would say, would you agree with me, David, that over
Absolutely.
50%? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking for JBLM campus, I would say it's definitely over 50%. I would say it's more of the rule than the exception. I would say
Yeah.
the majority. It's hard to think of a traditional college student, particularly at JBLM. I think any student that's in the military automatically is non-traditional, just because they may be a few years from starting, because they're doing training, basic training, and then their advanced training for the first year or two. So I think that right there, that puts them as non-traditional. And military duties come first. The course load for a military student is usually half-time or less, just because the needs of the military come first. And sometimes that means they can do a lot of classes, and other times it means they have to take a quarter off because they're at training or deployed. So yeah, sorry, long question. Yes, I would say it's definitely over 50%.
And so to clarify, I have my own idea of what a non-traditional student. How would all of you describe a non-traditional, or what's the definition?
I would say for me, a non-traditional student is the student who didn't, graduate from high school and go straight into college. So there's most of our students, there's a few that have a couple year gap, but most of our students have a huge gap. We had somebody graduate this year who she started working on her degree at Central like 30 some years ago, and she finally got her diploma after the end of summer, or after the end of spring quarter. So yeah, we have a lot of students that way. We have a lot of students who have, computer limitations because they haven't been in a workforce, or their work that they didn't entail a computer. So we have students who don't have computers, we had one student apply who didn't ever have an email address. So, walking through her that, and then she had to pay online, and, for her $50 to application fee, and trying to get her to trust the fact that, the university is not going to take her credit card information and do a bunch of charges. It's just, we have a lot of different students. And from coming from working on the main campus and being around a lot of the traditional students, and I worked in the financial aid, so I would have students come in and hand me their phone and be like, can you talk to my mom? And it's like, we don't have that, the helicopter parents or the parents, we're actually dealing with the students, which was a huge change for me from working in the financial aid office on the main campus.
Yeah, and I would agree. Great definition, Janet. I think that says it best. I can't define a non-traditional student better than that. I think absolutely right. Anybody who did not go to college directly out of high school, I think that fits the category.
And do we think that, I feel like I'm seeing a trend increasing of non-traditional students coming back to college. Do you see growth in that area, that the numbers of non-trads like myself are increasing?
I do, because I feel like the delivery of these courses it's changing. It's a lot easier for somebody to say, okay, I'm going to work on my degree, when they only have to go to a class once a week, or if everything is online. It's if there's the modalities, it makes them easier for them to access the information and to be in their classes and be successful in their classes. I do notice some of our students do, they do have life going on. So we have a lot of students who might, start and then put a pause on it for a couple quarters and say that they're going to be back, and they actually do come back. So that's good as well. But yeah, I definitely see a trend in the non-traditional students, even on on our campus.
Yeah, and I would say the same. It's particularly lately, as the economy takes a breather, we certainly have seen a lot of students returning to Central, which our Pierce College, our partner community college, they've seen a little bit of the opposite, which has been just fascinating. Whereas more people are returning to the university rather than the community college. And I think there's a lot of smart people looking at that and trying to figure it out. I don't know if there's been a consensus onto why that's happening yet, but yeah. And if I could add again, with the military, having that local audience, some of my student numbers are directly impacted by whatever the military is up to. So if we have a large group that's leaving the military, then and if they're staying in the local area, we'll see an increase in students. They'll be using their GI Bill, they'll be veteran students. And on the opposite side of that, if there's a unit that's going off to an exercise or getting deployed, which happens, there's a lot of units on JBLM. It seems like there's always a unit going out to the field or always getting deployed. So if there's one that we have students, if we have a lot of students in a particular unit and they go to the field, then those students are gone for a quarter or two.
And we have how many centers?
8.
Good question.
8.
8.
Do we see that growing as Central grows? Like how does Central ultimately decide on where a center is set up?
I don't know that I can speak to that, being newer to the centers. Go ahead, Janet.
I think part of it has to do with a community college probably at this point coming to us. I know like Spokane Community College came to us and asked if we could offer the paramedicine program. And so they're offering that out there now, and we don't even have a center there. So I feel like there's room for growth. But I feel like the community college has to have room for us as well, because we don't pay rent to the community colleges for being there. They want us there because, it looks good in their portfolio. Like, hey, we have, you can come here, but hey, we have this college here, so you can transfer in and not even have to go anywhere. But then you have community colleges that are coming up with their own BAS programs. So it's hard to say. There's definitely room for growth. We just need to have a space to grow too. And we have our Sammamish location, which is great because it's not, it's a building. It's not located inside of a community college. And I don't know how feasible us getting more spaces like that would be. So I feel like the potential's there, but then I also feel like a lot of things are moving more online. So maybe we'll just have more of a virtual presence, and maybe have, the centers be your contact point. If you're in the south part of Washington State, contact Pierce College for your information. It's really hard to say.
Great question. Great question. I don't know if I have a very good answer.
So COVID-19 obviously has done some changes for all of us. But I try to see opportunity. And one of the opportunities I'm seeing is the centers and the Ellensburg main campus coming together more and being able to be in the same room for meetings. Be it virtually. What is everyone's thoughts on that as well? Like, do you see opportunity in that we're all kind of coming together more and planning things and doing things like National Transfer Student Week, for example? And then this year we had a ASCWU student that was from a center that's now an elective in student government. What are your thoughts on that? Like, is this something that can continue in waves? Like, let's say we get back to, in the classroom and things like that in the future someday, but can we still keep some of that virtual to continue to grow together?
I say yes. I know Shannon and myself are in a group for center support staff, and that, I mean, we have seen each other occasionally at, you know, a meeting.
You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I have the guy's here to pick up our old refrigerator, and so my son came upstairs and like, can you go up and talk to him? So sorry about that. So I feel like I don't want to lose that connection with Shannon and the rest of the group. I feel like we started out by sharing recipes and our favorite books, and now we've moved on to tell our, you know, personal stories and really get to know this group of people. So I myself don't want that connection to go away. I feel like if anything, it's taught us how we can work together, and how having a national transfer week and having input from the centers and main campus, you know, I am all for that, because we are one university. We're not, you know, CWU-Pierce County, we're Central Washington University. And I feel like this, if anything, has brought us together and, you know, made us realize that more.
Yeah, and to add to that, I absolutely love working with Ellensburg on anything. I think centers and main campus together we're a super strong team. In the spring, I got to work on a phone outreach project with Janet, and I think some other folks as well. This is a big team, and we were calling students from all over the state, Ellensburg, centers, just any student, to just give them information, let them know that you know, we were doing all that we can, working remotely, classes were still going on, and just trying to be a reassuring voice in all the chaos. So yeah, I think there's a lot of room to grow and to make a relationship between the centers and Ellensburg much stronger, and hopefully have opportunities where we can partner up on more projects in the future.
Yeah, this is Liz from Ellensburg. I'll just second or third, I guess, all of that, because Janet and David, I'll come in third. And just speaking from more of a faculty instructional perspective, in the IT management department, we are often, because we've done a lot of work at the centers and a lot of online courses, we have often felt a little bit like a lone voice saying, but what about our students at the centers? But what about our transfer students? But what about our online students? And for the last 6 months, it's been a really different environment, because we have to think that way first. We have to think about including everyone first. And then, you know, how do we make that happen? That becomes the second question, instead of having it be an afterthought. So I'm really positive that not only are we going to continue this, I think we have to. I think our students, our faculty, you guys, the staff, I see my colleague Scott is on the call too. I think we are all really starting to appreciate in a much more deep way that we truly are one university, and now we're thinking that way first instead of last.
Awesome, thank you. I should stop asking questions and let other people talk, sorry.
Have any parting thoughts that anyone wants to share? All right, well, thank you all for participating in this Zoom presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you for everybody's time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
All right.